My name is Nancy Roth. I'm here this evening representing the J. Stanley and Doris Hill Legacy Award Committee. We are here this evening to honor this year's Hill Legacy Award recipient, who represents the spirit of community, a commitment to education, and the high-energy volunteerism that both Stan and Doris Hill exemplified. The person we will hear from next is someone who also mirrors these traits, Dr. Ron Anderson, president of Century College. Dr. Anderson's career in higher education spans over 23 years, 7 in leadership roles here at Century College, serving as presidents since 2011. As if leading this campus of over 10,000 credit students and 9,000 non-credit and certificate students doesn't keep him busy enough, Dr. Anderson is also an active leader and volunteer in the greater metro area, as well as within the whole state. Within the Minnesota State Colleges and Universities system, he serves on a task force focusing on envisioning and designing education of the future. He is also a part of a statewide MenSCU effort to increase cooperative administrative partnerships in order to reduce costs. Furthermore, he serves on 2 nonprofit boards of directors, the Harriet Tubman Alliance, which serves women and children escaping family violence, and Campus Compact, which is dedicated to developing college students' citizenship, skills, and in particular, community service. Please join me in welcoming Century College President, Dr. Ron Anderson.
Well, good evening. It's a pleasure to welcome you to our campus tonight and to join you in celebrating and honoring Keith with this award. Century College, as did Stan and Doris, have great value, place great value in service to the community, volunteering, and reaching out and being part of our local and broader community. So we're delighted that you could be with us, and we're happy to host you here this evening, and congratulations, Keith.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Considering the schedule you've had in the last week, graduation, new semester, we're very grateful that you came and that you took some time out to share it with us. Thank you. Tonight, the J. Stanley and Doris Hill Legacy Award Committee, comprised of individuals representing the Century College Foundation, the Matamidi Area Educational Foundation, and the White Bear Lake Area Educational Foundation, is honoring Keith Warner for his exceptional commitment to community service. Keith's outstanding volunteer work has positively impacted the lives of people within our local communities and throughout the greater community as well. The J. Stanley and Doris Hill Legacy Award was created to honor the memory of Stan and Doris Hill for their remarkable commitment to community service and to recognize on an annual basis an individual who has given many years of community service for his or her community. Do you think we have a good candidate this year? Many of you here tonight are aware that in 1995, Keith and his wife, Patty, co-founded the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life of the White Bear Lake area. As a result of their joint efforts, the American Cancer Society's local fundraiser has raised $3.85 million towards cancer research over the past 18 years. While reaching out to offer emotional support to those who are dealing with the disease, Keith and Patty's ability to inspire and comfort those in need is truly a gift. There are 4 words that I see best describe what make up Keith's inner soul. He is a man of unselfish dedication, humility, and passion. These qualities personify the Hill tradition of selfless and exceptional community service. Keith, it's with great pleasure that the Hill Legacy Award Committee adds your name to the plaques that are displayed in our individual foundation locations. Thank you for your commitment to volunteer and give us your best for your community. Thank you. At this time, we would like to recognize Keith and his family members. They're the ones in the cushy chairs, everyone, okay? Okay. Now you can stand. He'd asked me before, is this my time? Would you like to stand, Keith, in case no one knows who you are? Thank you. You'll be joined in just a minute, okay? Keith hails from Sioux City, Iowa, where he attended elementary, junior, and high school. He graduated from Morningside College, which is also in Sioux City, Iowa. The bulk of Keith's professional career, according to what he told me just a few days ago, was spent in the baking industry. I know it sounds corny, but do you think he worked with a lot of dough? In addition to volunteering countless hours in our communities, he is presently serving as the executive director of the Vadnais Heights Economic Development Corporation on a part-time basis. Right, right. Did you hear that? Is it really part-time? He doesn't really do anything part-time. So that sounds good, though, Keith. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Alongside Keith is his wife, Patty. Would you like to stand, Patty? Whom he met in junior high in Sioux City, Iowa. They were married in 1955. That makes sense that if you think of Keith's email address, he has the number 1955 in his email address. As members of this audience know, Patty and Keith often work side by side in a number of volunteer activities. Their church, St. Mary's of the Lake, awarded the Warners the Doherty Award in 2006 for their extraordinary service and commitment to the parish. Patty, thanks for being that other right-hand person. I'm just going to share just a little quip here. When we were trying to figure out what color flowers to go with tonight, we did a secret survey with Patty behind Keith's back. She was told by a certain American Cancer Society person to call me at a certain time so that she could do it while he wasn't listening or in the room. And we both confirmed that purple is the official color for tonight. And I don't know if you're noticing or not, but some of the people who are in the program tonight are going to be wearing your color, Keith, okay? Thanks to Patty. Now for the rest of the family in the cushy chairs. Keith and Patty have 4 surviving children, 6 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandson. Their daughter, Lori, died of cancer in 1998. With Keith and Patty this evening are 2 of their children, son Kevin and his wife Julie, and daughter Linda Warner, and her children, her child Laura. Eric is not here, but we can say his name for sure, and Linda's husband, Dr. Ken Hoy, right here. Keith and Patty's daughter, Lisa Chevalier, her husband, Mike, and their children, Molly and Sean, are unable to attend, as are Keith and Patty's son, Brian Warner, and his wife, Lynn, and their daughter, Sarah. But they're here in spirit. For those of you who came tonight from representing the Warner family, we're very glad you're here to share in this very special celebration. We would also like to honor and recognize the Stan and Doris Hill siblings who are right behind the Warners. We have Jan and Lauren Knott. You raise your hands, there you go. Mary and David West. Beverly Dwyer is unable to attend, as are Rick and Sotoko Hill, but rounding out the list is George Hill and his wife Diana. thank you for coming and celebrating this special occasion. Now, just a couple more people here for introductions. This is a special evening. We have never had this many previous Hill Legacy Award recipients in one room in a long, long time. And I think we know who's going to take the prize for the longest distance traveled. I will do this in chronological order. Bill Rust is unfortunately in Montana and unable to attend. Ted Blazing, who normally finds home in Florida, is here. Where are you, Ted? There he is. Thank you. Ted is the 2008 Hill Legacy Award recipient. Ellie Bruner, our 2009 Hill Legacy Award recipient, drove from Mahtomedi. Lori Allness is unable to attend, but Carol McFarland, our 2011 recipient, is right here. And Jackie Reese, our most recent recipient, right before Keith, 2012, is sitting next to Dr. Levitt. Now, just let it be said that there is a required photo op after this is over with, okay, with everybody, all right? Thank you very much, and thank you, everyone, for being so supportive. We are also fortunate to have Linda K. Smith, and I'm not sure where Linda is. There she is. Linda is here representing Century College Foundation. Linda is the president. Thank you, Linda. Dale Johnson would have loved to be here tonight, but he just had back surgery. He represents the Mahtomedi Area Educational Foundation. And representing White Bear Lake Area Educational Foundation is Jenny Netto. Again, all three of these people are top-notch volunteers. They wouldn't be doing what they do if they couldn't do a good job. So we're very proud and thankful that you're here tonight. Thank you very much. Lastly, I'd just like to recognize the Stanley and Doris Hill Legacy Award Committee. Two people representing the three foundations each. Julie Allman, unable to attend. Kevin Donovan, who will be speaking next. Where is Kevin? George Hill, where is George? Right there, representing not only Century College, but also his family members. Judd Marshall, representing MAIF, who's again at a city council meeting in Mahtomedi tonight. And Dean Schaubold, who is right back there, representing White Bear Lake Area Educational Foundation. But thanks, everyone. This wouldn't take place if we didn't have great team spirit. Thank you. George. Yes, I got it. Just a second. Excuse me, I have to turn my page here. We have two superintendents here tonight from our White Bear Lake area schools and Mahtomedi area schools. Dr. Mark Larson, right in the back here. Thank you very much for attending. And Dr. Michael Levitt from White Bear Lake. At this point, I'd like to introduce Kevin Donovan, a member of our Hill Legacy Award Committee. For those of you who know Kevin, he's a very active volunteer within our communities. Kevin serves on the Mahtomedi School Board and is currently the chairperson of the White Bear Lake Area Emergency Food Shelf. Kevin?
Thank you, Nancy. I've got a very tight schedule. Nancy gave me strict orders, 3 to 4 minutes, so I'm going to keep it short and sweet. And I'm also not quite sure about the title of historian. It means I'm old. It's not good. So we're here gathered tonight. I come on and I say a few words about how this started, and so I'll do that tonight, maybe a slightly different way. So what is the Stan and Doris Hill Legacy Award? We gather tonight to honor someone that exemplifies that. Keith Warner here sitting in front. And it's a lifetime of service that Stan and Doris did for this community and for the communities that are defined by White Bear Lake. But before I go on too far, I want to just kind of define what legacy is, because it's a word that we use, but it has different meanings. So the first, if you look at Merriam-Webster dictionary, the first one you get is a gift by will, especially of money or other personal property, a bequest. that's a fun one right there. This is not why we're gathered here tonight. We're here again, obviously, to honor Keith. But I'm sure that Jill, Kelly, and Jenny from the Educational Foundations would be more than happy to talk to you later after this meeting, should you be so inclined. The second definition is a student at or an applicant to a college that was attended by his or her parent. We are here at Century College, an institution of higher learning, but this is not exactly right either. The third item is defined as legacy, something transmitted by or received from an ancestor or predecessor or from the past. Now I think we're getting a little closer to the truth for this evening. As the Hill Legacy Award enters its 7 years of existence, it does celebrate the amazing volunteerism that happens in our community. This, as has been said, this is given to one person. It's very special. We get a lot of excellent applicants that are nominated, but this is really a person that really does a lot of work over time in these communities. As said earlier, the award is given on behalf of the White Bear Lake Educational Foundation, the Matamida Educational Foundation, and the Century College Foundation. In tandem, these foundations make a significant difference in the lives of our students. It's nice to see that the three organizations that do such good work for all our students can work together and in this endeavor. So, as you are well aware, if we were to do a Venn diagram of people in this room, there would be lots and lots of overlap. We have lots of Venn, I guess we would say. We are blessed with a cornucopia of volunteers and many organizations in which to give one's time and energy. And I would go over my 3 minutes if I were to list them all. I would argue that our communities would not have the vibrancy and richness of personality without our many volunteers. Our volunteers give that color to our communities, and we have many colors in our area. Thanks to Stan and Doris and all the other volunteers, including Keith Warner. Don't worry, I'm not going to come over and hug you. Have a legacy of giving and serving in the White Bear Matamida area that is well above average. So I will give you a handshake. All right, next I'm going to introduce Todd Peterson, who's here from the Cancer Society. And it gives me a special pleasure to introduce Todd as being a survivor myself. Todd of the American Cancer Society Relay for Life Business Unit has known Keith for the past 7 years. Because of Keith's dedication to the American Cancer Society and Relay for Life, their paths have crossed in nearly every avenue of the Relay for Life program. From new staff training to the pinnacle of leadership development, Keith and Todd have worked together in many venues, including the Midwest Division of Leadership Summit and many local events, campaigns, and volunteer rallies. To share more about what Keith has meant and continues to mean to the American Cancer Society, here is Todd Peterson to say a few words. Todd?
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank Kevin and Nancy and the planning committee and the Hill family and the three fine foundations that put this together tonight. Keith, what an incredible group, but what an incredibly appropriate night to be honoring you on. And you may mention this in your remarks, but I'll beat you to it. Tomorrow is the 100th birthday of the American Cancer Society. And today, the American Cancer Society has millions of volunteers, 3.5 million volunteers. About 100 years ago, it started with 7. It started with 7 women, and they called themselves the Women's Field Army. And they went door to door. They were fed up with their friends and neighbors being ridden with this disease. And 100 years ago, cancer was a near-death sentence. It's not that today. Today, 2 out of 3 people that are diagnosed with cancer survive it. And additionally, 2 out of 3 cancers are preventable Keith knows this, and he's still practicing the same template, the same kind of work that they were practicing 100 years ago. And because this is a legacy award, I want to share a few examples of what Keith has done. He's smiling. A few examples of what Keith has done to earn that legacy with the American Cancer Society, and then share a little bit about what that is, because of course you don't bestow a legacy on anybody. You earn that through a lot of hard work, and it's not always glamorous. It was established that Keith and Patty started the Relay for Life of White Bear Lake 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, in their 19th year now in 1995. Jeff and I were nudging each other in the back. I didn't realize you were going to pass $4 million this year. That's unreal. That's incredible, Keith, that your event will do that. And for all of those of you in the middle back here that have been there, done that, and planned relays, and for the group, the family members in the front, you know that doesn't just happen. That one event continues to be the most admired and one of the most successful events, not only in the metro, not only in the state, not only the division, but even nationwide. That is absolutely incredible. That doesn't just happen. It takes a lot of hard work and a lot of commitment, and a commitment to one thing: people. The American Cancer Society, like volunteerism everywhere, is all about people, and Keith knows that, and he's committed to. He has a favorite saying, and he might share this later, but he says, at Rotary we shake hands, and at Relay we give hugs, and he does that, and everybody knows that. And one of the things that they always tell you when you come into a new room, you meet somebody new, they say, create that rapport, right? Create rapport. Keith doesn't need to create rapport. Keith has rapport. He has built-in rapport because Keith is a Relay for Life event chair. He's a planning committee member. He's a fundraiser. He's a team captain. He is a survivor. He is a caregiver. He is speaking to the entire room every time he's speaking. It's absolutely incredible. But this isn't just about Relay. It's also about the support and the eyes and ears that Keith is for the American Cancer Society. If you're a newly diagnosed cancer patient in White Bear Lake, in this community, in this area, and Keith finds out about it, you're going to get a phone call. And you might get a visit, and you might get a follow-up phone call, and you might even get some cookies delivered to your house. And outside of that personal support, you're also going to get one of these, and he's going to talk to you about the Cancer Resource Network and what kind of help you can get. And as an organization, we can't do that with every single person. We need people like Keith, and nobody does it better than Keith. I want to talk about one more piece that is incredibly important to being an outstanding volunteer. When do people volunteer? They volunteer in the evenings. They volunteer on the weekends. To connect with those people, you need to be available. Nobody is more available than Mr. Keith Warner in this regard. And I want to share this. And he's shared it with a few people tonight when we were mingling. He and I met 7 years ago, and within 2 weeks I called them up and I said, there's a group in Cambridge, Minnesota, Keith, and they need to hear you. They need to hear your message. And it's on Monday night. Can you come? And he said, yes, I'll be there. And he brought Patty, and we sat in the bank lobby in Cambridge, and he talked to 30 people, and it was exactly what the doctor ordered that night. And he is incredibly available. Thank you for your availability, Keith. It is one of the most important aspects of any volunteer. So what kinds of things, this is a non-comprehensive list, but what kinds of things have you left with the American Cancer Society? Here's a few. A few weeks ago, Delta Airlines and the MSP community held their 4th annual Relay for Life event. They also held 71 events nationwide that raised $1 million that day. You know how that started? It started when a small group of people at the airport said, we want to put on a relay, and one person there raised her hand and said, I think I know how to do that because I participated in the Relay for Life of White Bear Lake 10 years ago, and I met this guy, Keith, that showed me how to do it and told me what was important about it. So Keith, indirectly, would that have happened without you? Probably not. That's pretty incredible. How about the relay model? I talked about shaking hands. It's how we train our staff. It's how we train our volunteers. Would we evolve to that after 30 years of doing relay without Keith? Maybe, but we wouldn't have had a mentor within the Twin Cities who would reach out to any staff person at any time, any volunteer at any time, and show them how to do it. That's incredible. It might have got there, but it would never have got there this fast and this well without you, Keith. Finally, I mentioned tomorrow is the American Cancer Society's 100th birthday. What I have in my hand here is a proclamation from from the governor's office, from Governor Dayton. It's a copy. It's not the one. And we were able to, and it's American Cancer Society Day tomorrow in the state of Minnesota. And would this happen with a simple phone call? And would this have happened with a phone call had we not had the outreach and the advocacy efforts led by Keith? He's been at every day at the Capitol for the last 7 years, our lobbying day, our annual lobbying day. Would it have happened? Maybe. Would it have happened with a phone call? No, absolutely not. Keith, thank you. I hope you're very proud of that. If those examples don't exhibit the kind of legacy he's leaving with our organization, I have one more. Last week I was walking through the office and I saw this. And for those of you that can see it, or if you've received an email from Keith, you might recognize it. It says, "Make Keith happen." And if you read it out, it says, "Make it happen." And somebody had this up in her cube. And I don't know, raise your hand if you've ever had somebody print off a broiler of an email before and put it up. But this has happened at the American Cancer Society. So Keith, if all those other things weren't examples of what you're leaving with us, you're even how you're dictating and influencing how people are motivated at the American Cancer Society. So incredible work. It's an honor to be here. Thank you to all who helped put this on. And it's a pleasure to say some words on behalf of Keith. So thank you very much.
Aren't we glad that Todd made the trip? Thank you, Todd. It was remarkable listening to your stories. We really appreciate that you shared. Thank you very much. Co-nominators Judy Skyvoss and Linda Reber share their introduction of Keith this evening. According to Judy, who is the Director of Production Services at On Location TV, Keith is her friend and collaborator in all things that are good and meaningful in our communities. Since she met Keith over 10 years ago, they have worked together broadcasting important health-related information that Keith feels needs to be spread throughout households in our cable viewing area. Linda, a client relationship manager at Manpower, met Keith when he asked her to sit down for a cup of coffee. She says their roost is now Caribou, officially Caribou. During that conversation, Keith invited Linda to become a member and later a board member of the Vadnais Heights Economic Development Corporation. She was immediately touched by Keith's authentic interest in doing good work. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Judy Skyvoss and Linda Reber.
I'm glad we're both short.
Yeah, this works good.
Before we say anything, I wanted to share just a very brief video, some samples. So just take a quick look here. I'd like to welcome to the studio my friends Keith Warner, a volunteer with the American Cancer Society.
This Colon Cancer Awareness Month is very close to my heart because I think I'm a walking example of early detection.
And I have some fabulous people with me to tell us all about it. Keith Warner, of course, is with the Vadnais Heights Economic Development Corporation. And
I'm just excited about continuing to strengthen our board and mesh that together for the community, the businesses, and the residents, the city staff, and the city council. I think we got to get everybody singing out of the same hymn book.
right.
In today's society, there's so much information out there on the website as to what to do when you've been diagnosed with stage 3 or 4 or this or that. And when you're dealing with the American Cancer Society, you got a website, cancer.org, that people can go to and get good information and help them make an informed decision. You have to make an informed decision. Anybody can do it, and they need to remain calm, and it's your job to step forward and help somebody when they're in a crisis situation.
Good point. So that's just a small, super small sample of how I came to know Keith Warner. And it all began, like Nancy said, over 10 years ago. I happened to be at work the day Keith walked into the door, and he started asking questions about what community television is, how does it work, what can it do, can we do something like this, and can we do that? And I'm like, yeah, we can do all that. Well, I haven't been able to shake him since that day. And sometimes I wonder if my boss doesn't plant him out in the community to make sure I'm doing my job out there covering, because every time I turn around, Keith is there at these events. It's just amazing. Keith is on a mission. And to me, the mission that he's on is to make a difference. And I am not kidding. He has made such a difference in my life. And I've seen what a difference he has made in so many people in our community's life. It's just amazing to me. It's so incredible. And Keith taught me right away, one of the first things he taught me about, he says it's so important for people to take their health into their own hands. So many people just kind of sit back and wait for the information to come. And he taught me, you have to go out there. You have to do the research. You have to get the information and the answers you want. Because if you don't do that, then you won't know what the problem is. And you can't solve the problem unless you get the information. And it's so true. And I just really appreciate that information. I now share that with other people too. Keith's co-warrior, Patty, took this idea for the relay, and they turned it into the biggest event in the Midwest. And they did it because of a promise that they made to their daughter who passed away from cancer. They decided they were going to carry on this fight on her behalf. And that was one of the very first interviews I did with them. It was Keith, Patty, and their granddaughter. And it just touched me so much that this was going to be their mission, and they had already been doing it for several years. So they're warriors, and they just don't stop. I mean, Keith obviously has battled cancer multiple times. That's never stopped him from getting out there and doing the work. And every time he sees me, and I'm sure all of you as well, it's always, how are you? You know, is everything okay with your family? How's so-and-so? Are they doing okay with their cancer? He just has that ability to connect with people that I just so appreciate. And, you know, he is job security for me, because he'll never stop being involved in these important community events. And, you know, his volunteer efforts go above and beyond. And he is my mentor, my friend, and I am his biggest fan. And now if I could just get him to start volunteering with the On Location TV-19 production truck running a camera, I would really have it made. It would be awesome. Lastly, for me, it was really no surprise when one day I was at a Vadnais Heights Economic Development Corporation event. I don't know if I was covering it or what the deal was, but Linda was there, and I've known Linda since we were little. And I'm like, Linda, what are you doing here? Oh, you know, this Keith Warner, he, you know, tapped me on the shoulder. I'm like, he got to you too, you know. So now, because of Keith Warner, Linda and I are back together on a stage here honoring Keith tonight. So, Linda?
Thanks. Thanks so much, Judy. My story starts about 2 years ago, actually, and Nancy had alluded to it. It started over a coffee conversation, and Keith had been reaching out and wanting to get together, and so I said, sure, we'll meet at the Caribou on 96, right? That's where everybody meets to have meaningful conversations, and he wanted to chat with me about the Vadnais Heights Economic Development Corporation and tell me more about that organization. But what touched me so much when we got together, I'm a little weepy. I tend to be that way sometimes, Keith. He really wanted to know about me and my family, and what my passions are, what I do, how do I make an impact, and then again, we just started, you know, having that conversation. He started sharing his life with me and his passions and his life story. And it wasn't long that we were sharing a few tears and some hugs. And I remember leaving that day and thinking, you know, I'm not really sure I know a whole lot about the Vadnais Heights Economic Development Corporation, but I'm going to join. So that was a given. But what I really thought is, I have really been touched by someone very special today. And you don't run across that very often. And I describe you, Keith, as the ripple. You know, we all see that ripple effect. You drop the pebble in the water, and all those waves just continue out. And that's what you do. And you do it without thinking about that. And you touch each one of us by your mission, by your passion, and by your drive. And I can say that I'm a better person because of that. So thank you. So we would like to welcome you, our friend and our mentor.
And this year's Stanley and Doris Hill Legacy Award winner, Mr. Keith Warner.
Just take it easy. Don't believe all you hear or read, you know. First of all, thanks to the Legacy Award. I appreciate this honor, and I'm very committed, and I feel strong about it, and I'm very happy to receive it. At the same time, if you've never read Stan's book, I'd suggest you find it and read it, because he walked his talk with his legacy in this community, and I think we all have that opportunity to do that. So, and again, thank you to the three foundations, the Century College Foundation, the Monterey Area Foundation, and the White Bear Lake Area Foundation. Special thanks to this committee for this event. And I really want to thank Patty for everything she's done. The best example is that a young lady passed away a few years ago, Erica Martin. And they were up at the church stuffing church bulletins with some message. And she looked over at Patty. Erica said, you know, Keith comes up with all these ideas, and we're down here stuffing the envelopes. And I really felt bad about that from that standpoint. So, but I've been so blessed to have my wife, Patty. I had a lot of conversations. I speak in public about my cancer history and everything, and I say I'm a cancer survivor because my wife is a nag. And if I wasn't feeling well, she'd nag me, push the envelope, and get me there, and it always made a difference. So listen, you adult men that don't like to see doctors, do what they say. But Linda and Ken, thanks for being here tonight. Laura and Julie and Kevin, it's really great to have you here. And we know Lori's with us. She's with us always. And when I get ready to do something or I'm challenged, I always have this name inside my voice coming down to me that says, go for it, Dad. And I mean it. I know I can hear her. And she's there with me all the time. And Lisa made the right decision by being with her daughter at a dance recital tonight. And we'd love to have her here, but first things first. And everybody knows that in our family. Back to what Kevin was saying about legacies. I heard this some time ago, and I think it's a good one. It says, legacies are woven of many threads. Our acts of service, the lives we touch, and the way we support and sustain our beliefs and values. And I think that each of us have that opportunity. God gave all of us skills, different skills. And I always think of John Evans. You know, I have to lip sync in church, but he can play music and sing just so perfect, and I can't carry a tune in a basket. But I admire and respect him. But we all have our strengths in this world, and you need to find your strength and run to it. The other day, Bromo Camp, I was at a workforce development thing with them, or a workforce program, and the guy was talking about Tiger Woods' his coach. He spends 80% of his time on driving and putting, and only 20% of the time in the sand traps, because that's not the best part of his game. So he works on driving and putting. And that whole thing that came out of that conversation was, so often you go in for a review when you were a student, and the first 5 or 10 minutes is how good you are, and the next 20 is what's going wrong and what you need work on. And what that coach was trying to tell us the other day, last Wednesday, was build on your strengths. And that's all I can try and do, because I have just one heck of a lot of weaknesses, and I don't want to share them all with you, but I have them. Before you leave tonight, I want to see everybody, and I give them a business card, as we were just kidding about there. And that's that Cancer Resource Network card. It's called CRN. It's 1-800-2345. or ACS 2345. And it's really neat because when you're in trouble, and I don't care if you're in Thief River Falls or downtown New York City and somebody just told you you've got cancer, you're alone and you're scared and you don't know where to go and who to talk to. So I want everybody to take that and put it in their billfold. I would like to say you would never use it, but you will, because cancer doesn't happen on the last Friday in July when we have a Relay for Life in White Bear Lake. It happens 52 weeks out of the year, every day of the week. Somebody needs some help. And I will correct Todd on one thing. He says, I call people. My rule of thumb is, if somebody's been diagnosed with cancer and you contact me about it, I ask you to have them call me, and then I'll make the contact, because Patty and I have done a lot of interventions in our living room. And the irony of it is, when people are diagnosed, they all have so many Monday morning quarterbacks in their family that tell them what they should be doing and this and that. And sometimes a third party, an outside person, can help people back up, soften it a little bit, and then digest the information. And we continually talk about that. Get the best informed information and then make an informed decision and work on facts. So whatever you do, get this CNR card. I've already talked about that. I want to mention a few things about ACS, and I'd be remiss if I walked out of here and didn't say it. You know, we talked about the education, and somebody said you got to think about your own health and be your own advocate. You really do. And there's also advocacy of what happened last night, and that is $1.60 a pack on cigarettes is going up in the near future. And I don't know how many times and how many state representatives and senators I've talked to personally about that, but they know my name on a first name basis, and so do the U.S. people, our state representative and the two senators know our family on a first name basis. So I think it's really important to know that standpoint, that we're going to be there. The other thing to just kind of mention to wrap up here is that the relay's the last Friday in July every year. And we picked that because somebody figured it out that that's the best weather weekend in the summer in July in White Bear Lake. Way back when, Chuck Prokhoff was the one that went and studied that. He went back 50 years and studied it when they used to have some event here back in the 50s or 60s. But anyhow, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, come and experience it and witness it, and maybe you'll get involved. But more than that, if you change your mind and want to put a team together tonight, ask me when you're going out and I'll help you do it. Because you can do it. I don't care whether you take 3 generations in your family there, you're going to have a good time. And you're going to be moved because of the people in this room that have made it happen so many times. I didn't make things happen at these locations. It's all the volunteers. And Patty oversimplified it when I showed her a video in 1995. It said, can we do this in White Bear Lake area? And Patty said, if you get the right volunteers. And it took us a while, but boy, is there an army there. Come and join our army if you would. We'd love to have you. I think that it's the second thing I want to emphasize to you is that John Lupo is not here tonight, but Grandma's Bakery is building for the 26th or the 20th of June the world's longest ice cream sundae. And all the money is going to go to the Relay for Life, the American Cancer Society, White Bear Lake Area Relay for Life. And they set a record last summer in North Dakota at 762 feet. We're going to have a 1,000-foot sundae all the way across 4th Street past Key's Restaurant. He's got a seamless rain trough going to be filled up with foil, and then in there's going to be plastic cups all the way. And if you want to buy a 10-foot section for $100, you can be a sponsor. And he's going to raise $10,000. And the reason he's going to raise $10,000 is his daughter's getting married the night of our relay, and he's not going to be with us. So he says, I got to do something. And he's sold 65 of those 10-foot sections. So the Chamber of Commerce has it on their website. You can find out about it that way. And then you can always form a team, like I said. But I think the most important thing is that we all walk this journey together. We never know where we're going to be touched by cancer or any disease. And cancer isn't the only thing I'm up here to talk about. We all have challenges, whether it's diabetes, cystic fibrosis or any other disease that's out there. We have to come together, and that's what this community is really great for, is coming together and working hand in hand. And I always say, let's walk into the deep water, and when the bubbles come up, we'll go back and help the person that doesn't know how to swim or who's in trouble. And that's what we're really trying to do. Now, to close, I want to just mention a couple things. First of all, our daughter Lori, when she was a freshman or sophomore at Creighton University, I used to tell the kids when they'd leave the house going out to do different things, I'd talk about Socrates saying, go, O seeker, and may your quest be not in vain. And so she learned how to cross stitch, and she made this for me. And I guarantee you, when I pass on, her daughter will have this. Colleen is 18 years old now. But it says, go, O seeker, and may your quest be not in vain. And I ask each of you, when you go out to do something to help and support, have your quest be not in vain. The other thing I want to mention to you is that on Lori's dream that Judy talked about, first of all, Colleen was 3.5 when her mother died, 6 months old when her mother was diagnosed, and 3.5 when her mother died. June 6th, Colleen graduates from high school in Toledo, Ohio, and we're going to be there with her. And it's, as Jeff said last summer, and he spoke at the closing of Relay, that next June somebody's going to walk across the stage and the grandparents will be there, but the mother's going to be in that room with her too. There's no question about it. So June 6th, keep little Colleen on your dreams, and she's going to University of Cincinnati. And when we talk about Lori's dream, we all have a dream, and her last words with me the day she died, or the day before she died, was, Dad, do you think there's ever a chance that Colleen could grow up and have children and not have to go what you and Mom are going through, meaning losing a child to cancer? And for all of you, for all your children and your children's children, we want to make that dream come through. Now, 2 weeks ago, Jeff and I were at the University of St. Thomas, and Gordy Klatt, who founded Relay in Tacoma area, who was originally from Stillwater, graduated from St. Thomas, went to the U, and he's been out practicing medicine in Washington, or Tacoma, Washington forever, spoke to the Relay for Life kids there at the university. And coincidentally, it was his 50th anniversary of graduating from St. Thomas. And so he stood up there and he told the kids, when I graduated from St. Thomas, 1 out of 3 people survived cancer for 5 years. And then he went out in reference to a fact that he met Dr. Lynn, somebody, I can't think of it, but in 1968, that doctor was funded early in his career by the American Cancer Society. In 1972, that doctor developed the answer to bone marrow transplants. In 1992, he won the Nobel Science Award for science. In 2002 or 12, last year at 92, he died. But Gordy Klatt was emphasizing 50 years ago, 1 out of 3 survived 5 years with cancer. Nowadays, 2 out of 3 survive, and he was talking to that graduating class or those seniors in college and said, when you come back for your 50th anniversary, let's make sure it's 3 out of 3. So with all of that, thank you very much for listening, and I get on a soapbox, but by the way, if anybody wants to volunteer, I'm in the corner. Thank you.
Keith, on behalf of the Legacy Committee and the Hill family, I want to congratulate you as being this year's Legacy Award winner and present you with this plaque.
Thank you very much.
And I want to say to Patty, Doris was the best envelope stuffer I ever knew, and without her, Stan wouldn't have accomplished half of what he did. I'd like to put on my salesman's hat right now. And as wonderful as this evening has been, it's now time to start thinking about the 2014 J. Stanley and Doris Hill Legacy Award. And who are you going to nominate? We officially start accepting nominations in the fall, probably in November, but it's not too early to think about it. It's with the community members like you that nominate their friends and neighbors that we get such outstanding award winners. And if you get really excited and have one that just can't wait, I think online at any of the foundations you'll still find this year's nomination form. And we won't reject a nomination form because it's got the wrong year on it. So think about who you'd like to nominate.
Thank you, George. Thank you, Keith. Wow. I guess just personally, when Keith and I first connected about this whole award thing way back in March, I felt very fortunate to have had the opportunity to talk with him, listen, and talk again. And a little bit later, after he was over the shock of everything, and of course he was very humble when he heard the word, we met at McDonald's on a Sunday night at what, 9:15? We left at 11:30. And it was all safe. I mean, and it was, to me, it was one of the most, I came home and I told my husband I was so taken aback, and so I felt so blessed by having those minutes with you, Keith, listening to you respond in your very humble way, and listen to you explain where your heart comes from. And I think I just get to join that rank of the group of the people who have gotten to know you much better, and I appreciate it. But thank you, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming tonight, and enjoy yourselves for the rest of the time. And Keith and Patty, this is your night. Thank you.